Good evening, shifters. I don't know if you can tell, but this is not our normal background. I am actually out of town. I am at the ASCD conference in Washington, D.C. Just arrived here after a day of celebrating with my sorority sisters. But I am committed to getting out the 10 days of navigating parenthood. So here we are. So you'll have to bear with a little bit of shift in the presentation. This evening, I wanted to talk briefly, because it is late and I am exhausted, about safety, physical safety, cyber safety, and emotional safety. And where are my manners? Welcome to the Shifter Studio. I am your host, Coach C. I assist parents who are struggling with stress and family discord and support them in their journey shift back towards parental peace. This is part 7 in a 10-part series on navigating parenthood. So far, we have talked about bullying, fitting in, peer pressure, technology and screen time, health and wellness, mental health. I'm sure I am missing a content area or two, and maybe you should just hop in the comments and list the ones that I didn't say, and maybe you'll forgive an almost senior citizen's brain because she had such a very long day. But suffice it to say that these past 7 days have been very informative, very rich, speaking to you from industry professionals like NAMI, the National Association on Mental Illness, last night when we were speaking about mental health, but also speaking to you from the experience of a parent as I am, parents that I know, parents that you know. Remember, there is no one perfect answer. There is no one perfect way. We are coming together as a collective to collaborate on getting to the best answer for our unique situations. Tonight, again, we will be talking about safety, physical safety, cyber safety, and emotional safety. And again, this video will not be as long as the other 6. Physical safety, I think it's safe to say that most of us that are of a certain age are aware that today is not like yesterday. Yesterday, we would walk home from school with a key around our neck, let ourselves in the door and make a snack, do our homework, and our parents weren't necessarily worried about what they were going to find when they came home. We do not live in that world any longer. No longer is it just make sure you have a quarter in your shoe so that you can use the payphone if you get lost. Now it's don't walk by yourself because someone may follow you and mean you no good, right? So times have definitely changed. And safety, the aspect of safety is not just the physical safety face-to-face. A lot of our young people, unfortunately, don't even feel safe at school. So safety is a pervasive issue for parents. It's not just on the streets. It sometimes is in school. It's sometimes in neighborhoods. Definitely always an issue to pay attention to in the land of the internet. So that would be the cyber safety. And then also emotional safety, because we want to make sure that, our children are feeling their best, feeling like they are worth the world, and not letting people tear them down and make them emotionally not safe. Because when you're not safe emotionally, you tend not to make the best decisions, and you tend to put yourselves in situations that you may not even be aware of how serious they are. So, what can we do? What can we do to support our children who may be struggling in the area of safety? First, make sure that you have ground rules with your children around how they move out in the street, coming to school, coming home from school, in the house. Um, I've worked with parents who, it saddens me to say, they felt like they couldn't trust their children to leave their children in the house without throwing a party or having strangers over or going through, their items, stealing. So our children are, we're in a crisis of sorts, and sometimes it leads our children to not make the best decisions. So that whole safety piece, again, I'm going to keep saying it. Safety is not just, the physical safety of, watching both sides of the, both ways when you cross the street. It's not just that safety anymore. Safety is a pervasive issue. So, ground rules. What are your ground rules? When your child wants to have company, what's the ground rules for that? Can they just bring someone over to your house unannounced? Do they have to give you notice? Does the child's parent that wants to come over, do they have to be aware and give their consent? What are the rules and the norms in your home? So that's first. Having ground rules, having norms, so that regardless of whether you're around or not, your children know what's expected of them and they know what they need to do. So, for example, if my children were wanting to go somewhere after school, we didn't have a curfew set up, like, okay, as long as you're home by 5 o'clock, I don't care what you do between 2:30 and 5. That wasn't our household. Our household was, if you want to do something after school, call me, ask me, see if we have something else going on, and if I give my permission. That's the ground rule. So what are your ground rules about your children's movement? What are your ground rules about your children's internet safety? Social media. Social media gets our children into a lot of unsafe predicaments. Which, what do you call it? Like Instagram beefs, Facebook beefs, right? Although they say Facebook is for the old people like us, right? So Instagram beefs, TikTok beefs, right? So what are your ground rules around social media use? Do you have to have the passwords? Do they only use it for a certain amount of time during the day? Are certain sites off limits? What are your ground rules around social media? I would encourage all parents to do as much studying and keeping up with the latest in terms of technology as possible, because things change on a dime. And I laughed during one of the videos, one of the previous 6 videos, when I was talking about Go Guardian. And Go Guardian is a system that schools use to make sure that when children are on their laptops, they're not going to appropriate sites, or they're staying where they're supposed to be to do the work that they're supposed to do. And if you have up Go Guardian, you can look at your screen, you can see what all the other computers in the room are doing. If you see someone doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, you shut their computer off, right? So I feel all homes should be equipped with like a home version of Go Guardian. But we know that that's not going to happen. So what do we do to make sure that the ground rules that we set around cyber safety are actually up to date with the latest abilities? I mean, we all know about the dark web. We know about going incognito. So, right, that means, you could walk over to your child, look over their shoulder, and they look like they're on Mary Had a Little Lamb. But underneath that Mary Had a Little Lamb page is go, 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 girls going wild, right? Yes. So we have to know about these things. How can our children access sites that are not meant for them? What can we do to put those types of like blocks in place? Most internet carriers will provide some sort of like child locks on the internet access, so that you can say what sites you want your children to go to and what sites you don't want them to go to. However, you have to know about the sites. That's why I'm saying it's very important that you try to stay as current as possible regarding what your children are into. This is not like yesteryear where you pretty much allow young people to just do their own thing as long as they were in before the street lights came on. That's the old familiar saying. It's not like that anymore. And it's not like that anymore, and it's our responsibility to be up to date on all of the pitfalls that our children can align themselves with without even knowing. So, what are your norms or your ground rules around cyber usage, or rather internet usage? Emotional safety. That's really a challenging one as well. Parents, although it hurts my heart to say it, we can sometimes contribute to our children feeling emotionally unsafe. If we belittle our children, if we hold them to ultra high expectations without scaffolding or supporting their leveling up, if we make them feel like if they are not living out our dreams or our goals, then they're not doing it right. If we make them out to feel useless or stupid or any other type of negative word that you want to fill in the blank with, then we are not only doing a disservice to our children, but we are contributing to their emotional feelings of a lack of safety. So, what can we do? We, one, can make sure that we are not setting up our children to be clones of us. Our children, what's the saying? Our children are lent to us, right? We have them for a short while. They are not ours, and they are not supposed to live out our lives, right? I hear with some parents where, if they became parents early, if parenting was a bit of a struggle, then they sometimes feel like their children owe them the dreams that they couldn't materialize. That's not the case. So let's make sure that we are setting up our households to give our children or have our children in emotionally safe spaces, right? Also, making sure that the lines of communication are open so that when they go out into the world and they experience things that make them feel emotionally unsafe, they feel supported enough to come to you and talk to you about it, right? So that means that communication is important, that active listening. And I've probably said active listening on each of the videos that we've done. Active listening is so important. Listening to understand, not to reply. Eye contact, body facing forward, being able to paraphrase what your child has said to you, right? Active listening. So again, physical safety, making sure children have agency over their body, that they could tell someone not to touch them. We're not forcing them to give hugs to the aunties and the uncles, right? So, physical safety, watching their surroundings, making sure they're checking in with you so that you know where they are when they are there. Cyber safety, making sure you have those passwords, making sure your children understand that it is your job to keep them safe. They may not understand how something is not the safest choice, but you do. And it's your job to do what you have to do to keep them safe. But, you have a conversation with them as well. Emotional safety, we build our children up. We make sure that they understand that they are amazing, but that they are their own amazing, and that they don't owe us their life, right? And so we don't set them up for failure by setting them up with extremely high expectations and no scaffold. We don't yell at them as a form of communication. That's not to say we won't lose our temper and we won't shout every once in a while. I'm saying we don't yell as a daily form of communication. We don't treat our children harshly. Like, we don't treat them rough, right? And I'm not saying we baby them or coddle them, but we respect them. We communicate with them, and we listen to them so that they feel emotionally safe. Okay, I said this video was not going to be as long as our others. So, with that being said, if anything that you've heard this evening resonates with you, made you think, annoyed you, got on your nerves, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Take care, shifters. See you on day 8.